Hi everybody, welcome again to another session of Yeshiva Classroom, and we're here at this time every week, so there's a lot of information we want to give out, and we want to speak about the virus and a lot of different things from the sentences in our Holy Torah. Remember, you can always call us at, but on the internet, on Google search, just type in Yeshiva Classroom. Now, if you like the program, let your friends know about it, and you know, if they can't get it on the TV, because we're on Queens and Brooklyn and other places on the internet. So you should Google search www.Yeshiva Classroom, and you scroll down and you get pictures of the last 20 sessions. So where are we going to start off today? You know, we have a lot of Torah to give over and a lot of criticism, because we want to use the pasuk in the Torah, which is in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17, that you should rebuke your fellow man and not come to sin. You should rebuke your fellow man and not come to sin. So we want to bring that over later on in the program and let you look at the ramifications regarding Lashon Hara and what the Rambam writes in Dios. You know, the Rambam writes 14 books on Yad Hazaka, and the first book is Dios. I don't think they've been translated in English, but Rabbi Millers gives you an insight into many svarim that you don't have to look into, and basically Dios, that the Rambam writes, the first book of Yad Hazaka, is opinions, and what's his opinion on this verse in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17, you should rebuke your fellow man and not come to sin. But first, before we go on to that, like I say, we have a lot of material to give over, and hopefully it comes across, and hopefully you review. It's not like you're a latka sitting there on the couch and listening to everything, and then, you know, next hour we go someplace else, maybe it's a ball game. But you have to do the work. You have to review. You have to write down the chapter and the verse, and review it at your leisure, and try to memorize, because memory is such an important concept, because, you know, God gave us a brain, and, you know, we can use it in such constructive ways as a Jew to spread the word of Torah to our fellow man, and by doing so, the nations of the world will see our beautiful Bible and our beautiful God, which we live by His dictates. As a matter of fact, write this down, Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 5, it says over there that you should do the commandments and the directives of the Torah, because it is the understanding and wisdom in the eyes of the nations when they hear you do the commandments and live by them, and they will say, what a great God the Jewish people have, that are so close and near to them, that they live by those commandments and are given blessing from their God. Yes, you are wise and understanding in the eyes of the nations. That's in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 5, right? Over there, chapter 4, verse 5 in Deuteronomy, and it says over there, keep the commandments and the directives, because it is the wisdom and understanding in the eyes of the Gentile when he hears the Jewish people perform and bring their God so close to them. Okay, now I want to touch on the subject of respect, reverence for our God. And we learn this out, the significance of this charge from, first of all, it's written one of the 10 Commandments. You should not, the third commandment, you should not blaspheme the name of God, right? You should not blaspheme the name of God. And that God is the one who gives us everything, and we have to be respectful of that light and that charge that He has given us to enjoy. We have to show gratitude and we have to show reverence. As a matter of fact, I'll give you another sentence that to buttress this argument, the arguments that the Torah brings down, and that is in Exodus chapter 22, verse 32. It says, you should not desecrate the name of God, but you should sanctify the name of God. You should not desecrate the name of God, but you should sanctify the name of God. And that calls for very important reverence in all aspects of the directive that God has asked us to perform, in which we subjected ourselves and agreed to this formula. And you say, well, I wasn't there. A Jew may say, I wasn't there and I didn't receive it, but our forefathers received it in our name. And every day when we say the prayer after Shema Yisrael in the morning, it says, we are certain and true, these words are everlasting, beautiful, and we affirm the affirmation that we took through Abraham and formalized at Mount Sinai. So reverence is a very important tool that we have to show respect and show that we are sincere in our upholding the truth of the God-given Bible, which was dictated to Moses. Deuteronomy, write it down. Deuteronomy 31 verse 24. Deuteronomy chapter 31 verse 24. For I dictated the Torah to Moses, and of course Moses wrote made copies of it, and he handed it to each of the 12 tribes so that we'll know that we will be, so we all have the same text to go by. This is a picture of the Holy Ark, which is described in detail, and this is where the 10 Commandments, the stone tablets, were given, and also the original dictated scroll to Moses was stored. And of course, God came to speak to the Jewish people and to Moses through the space between the two cherubim, angelic features that were in the Holy of Holies in the temple. And these staves here, when the temple, portable temple or Mishkan, tabernacle, is moved, then the ark is covered, and people of the Levium know their chore, and they carry the ark to the next place, wherever the cloud of glory rests. And then we set up the temple, and we set up the ark, right? And that's what we do for our forefathers have done in Here's a picture of the portable temple, the surrounding gate, right? The surrounding fence, and it's conjunctive. What does it mean, conjunctive? It means that of all the information that we know from in Talmud and it's part of the fence, and Talmud and teachings, this is as much as we can glimmer as to what the fence actually looks like. But basically we might use that in the following, because it says in the Torah, Exodus, book of Exodus, it's the 5 books of Moses, 5 books dictated to him. In the book of Exodus, there's a sentence, chapter 25, verse 8, and that is, make for me a ark, a tabernacle, so I may dwell with you. So I may dwell with you. And you have to remember that this tabernacle was in the midst of the Jewish people, of the 12 tribes. And we saw our forefathers who were encamped around the portable temple, the Mishkan, the tabernacle there in the midst of the of that beautiful yeshiva type atmosphere where the people were learning Torah that they had gotten at Mount Sinai, right? The oral law and the Torah law, right? Because it says over there, 24:12 in Exodus 24, verse 12. God tells Moshe to ascend the mountain. I will give you the stone tablets, the stone tablets, right, which are engraved in those tablets, and the Torah, the written Torah, the scroll, the Torah, and also the commandments, which means the oral Torah, right? He told Moses in 24:12, ascend to the mountain. Ascend, come up to the mountain, you alone, and I will give you these articles, and you should teach the people. And when they came down, this verse is transposed. Rashi speaks about that in chapter 20, that this verse 24:12 was transposed over there, because that's when we received the Torah on Shavuos. Because right now, if you read about the Shavuos, the holiday of Shavuos, you're going to only hear the words of the 10 Commandments. But from the transposition of 24:12, we know that the entire Torah was given on Mount Sinai, and this is why we celebrate that day. And today is the 5th day of May 2020, and it is also the 26th day of the Omer, the 26th day of the Omer, which means we are to count to 49, and the 50th day is Shavuos, and that's why I'm so happy that those days passed, because we have the future of the holiday of Shavuos, of receiving the Torah. So, where are we? So, reverence to the Torah is so important. And actually, there are many places in Exodus when, after God gave the charge that the people should make for me a tabernacle, and all the appurtenances or the furniture that we're going to put in there, and everything had to be specifications to the 10th degree. And as a result, Moshe, first of all, there are appointed 2 general engineers over the construction of the temple. Bezalel ben Uri, right? He was the chief engineer, and Achimelech, who was second in charge from the tribe of Dan, Achimelech. I think that's pronunciation, but I may be wrong. Okay, so what do we have over there? We have the charge to build a temple, to build a portable tabernacle. And there are actually many places that God asked Moses to come up to the mountain, because I want to make sure you construct these furniture in the right specification. You know, the golden ark, the regular ark, the length, the width, the height. All of these things have to be according to specification, according to God's desire. That's how they should be made. And of course, Moses went up, and you can see it in the Torah. In Exodus chapter 25:9, right? Exodus 25:30, Exodus 26:40, Exodus 27:9. All of these places. Now I want you to look them up. If you have a chumash, we're in such bad shape, we don't even have Torahs in our home. Well, I don't have all my props here with me, but what can I tell you? I mean, they're not far away, but I'm going to stop the program. So, the Jews were learning this time. The Jews were learning 40 years the explanation of the Torah, the written Torah. And as a result, they were very knowledgeable in Torah, very knowledgeable in the explanation of all the books and the commandments and the meanings. And when it was written down, finally in the Mishnah in the 70 Common Era by Judah HaNasi, because of outside forces which broke up the city, the concept of learning Torah. So even there, Rav and Shmuel wrote down commentaries on the Bible, the written Bible. And you can find them, Mechilta. That there are written books based on what they had received on learning it orally throughout all these years. But getting back to the concept that we're talking about, and that is reverence for the Torah, for a synagogue, and respect for everything contained in it, because they are divinely given. And when the ark was almost completed, God called out in 29:46 in Exodus, make for me a sanctuary so that I can rest my presence there. So that I can rest my presence there. When the Jews were all around the tabernacle in their individual tribes, they were learning, and they could also see the tabernacle and the cloud which stood above the tabernacle. The cloud was there for 40 years. Why do you think the Jewish people are so strong in their belief, even going through exile and persecution throughout the years? Because we know that we were there as prophets, because God spoke the 10 commandments to the Jewish people. And God speaking to the Jewish people, our forefathers, are like prophets when God speaks to you. So what happened? they took so much time in donating material and having everything in place, and they were ready for the dedication ceremony, Milium, and what happened was everything was in place, and Moses undertook the job of ensuring that everything worked properly before it was 7 days before it was handed over to Aaron, right, the priest in charge, and he was given that charge, and he offered the appropriate offering. He offered the appropriate offering on the altar, and everybody waited in ecstasy to see what happened. And sure enough, God came down in a fire and consumed the offering. And the people fell on their faces and they gasped to see such a miracle in front of their eyes. And before you know it, Nadav and Avihu, the sons of Aaron, wanted to amplify the offering, and they made the fire bigger by offering strange fire, and immediately they were killed with a flame going through their nostrils. And we see the significance of reverence. Now, where else do we have reverence that we can see? You know, when it comes to Moshe, our teacher, when he was leading the people out and listening to their complaints and doing the best he can when learning and giving over Torah, because there were 1 over 10 and 1 over 50, 1 over 100, 1 over 1,000, all given questions if they didn't know the answers to. And they were learning, and they had a yeshiva that was subsisted and existed by God, who gave them manna. Man does not live by bread alone, but whatever comes out of the mouth of God. And we see that Eliyahu lived on by the help of ravens. Elisha lived on a cake of rice. Man exists the way God wants him to exist. So what happened over there by the travelings of the Jewish people? They were out of water. The water was gone, and God told them, like in the previous occasion, several weeks earlier, one time to make the water sweet, and one time to speak to the rock. And so Moses got the instructions wrong. All the people were waiting for God and to give them water, and it would come from the rock, and Moses spoke to the rock, and he didn't know to hit it, and then he spoke to the wrong rock, and that was disrespectful in the eyes of God, because here it's desecrating the name of God when the people are waiting and waiting for God's miracles, and this comes about. So Moses is punished by that. So we see reverence is so important. If you're irreverent, then you're going to have trouble, because these are holy. Beginning of wisdom is the fear and awe of God. Beginning of wisdom is the fear and awe of God. So that has to do with reverence, and there's a lot to talk about that. But we have to remind ourselves when we go into the synagogue that there should be no talking, and we should be much higher than that state of affairs. But we'll get into that later and talk about the virus. But I want to go touch a little bit on on the afflictions that man is afflicted with by going away from the teachings of the Torah, and specifically Lashon Hara, speaking something true about a person that is not known by the congregation, and you are afflicted with a tsaras, a skin disease, and a physical affliction because of a spiritual fault, right? But not only because of Lashon Hara, speaking evil, but there's other reasons that were given, you know. Naaman had tsaras, then he had to dip into the waters of the Jordan, and Azariah was a king who went into the place of the where the Kohanim were only allowed to go, and he was stricken with tsaras. So there are many teachings that we learn out from this affliction that we do not have today, but it was there at one time, just like the sota, which was an affliction to see who was telling the truth or not. So what happened was with the tsaras, with this spiritual affliction, you had to leave the company of man, because man, when they're together, they have less fear and awe of God. So he goes to the Kohen, who is a repository of all the teachings, and he examines the tsaras, the affliction, and he says we have to wait another 7 days to see if it is a real affliction, and we'll see. And some days come by, and then they say it might have spread, and we have to wait some more time. But the entire time, the patient is by himself, contemplating what he did wrong, and learning from the Kohen who visits him like on a frequent basis. So this is like a jump start to get us back on track again. And finally he's been given the okay, he can leave the confines, and he can go back to his people and to his normal life. So here we see that a person has been cured. And what does he do? He just doesn't forget about all the trappings that he went through, but he gives an offering of thanksgiving, of gratitude, that is written down in Mitzorah, Tazria, and Tazria Mitzorah. So over there it says he takes 2 birds and scarlet cloth, dyed scarlet, from the creature that was in those days, not the halotzion for the dyed strand of the tzitzis, but another creature that was really so low in existence, so small, and the hyssop also small, and to the cedar took a piece of the cedar, which is the highest creation that of vegetable matter that God made. And with this in his hand, first of all, he sends out the live bird to freedom, that he escaped the fowler. Fowler is the tender of wild birds. He sends him out to freedom. The patient was cleared and cleaned and healthy again. Now can go out to freedom. and with the other materials he slaughters the bird, and the blood drips into the clean water, right? The blood represents life, the water the existence of life, and he dips that bundle of hyssop and cedar wood and scarlet yarn, and he dashes it 7 times towards those people who have not been cured, and that they should also gain the happiness of freedom and the ability to strive and become healthy and return to the service of God to increase and become more perfect in your commitment and the observance of the commandments. It's not for that you should look for more happiness in life, but we're to look for more perfection in the performance of our directives that God has given us. Now I spoke earlier about this pasuk in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17. It says over there, you should rebuke your fellow man and not come to sin. You should rebuke your fellow man and not come to sin. And Rambam writes in Dios, so this is all written down from Rabbi Millers, who learned in Slobodki Yeshiva, got this from Sinai, who was a Talmud, a student at that yeshiva for many years, together with Rav Aaron Cutler. Rabbi Cutler was also a masmid of that yeshiva. So I strongly advise, with uncertain terms, to get the book. He wrote on every book of the Torah, the 5 books. Get any one of them. Get in the beginning, or The Nation is Born, in Exodus, and read. It's all English, and you give it ideology of the sentences. So what happened over there is the Rambam writes this, in his opinion, if you don't rebuke a person who goes astray, you will come to follow his ways and be inured in that way of thinking and living. And I want to give you an example. You know, right now, as I said, it's May 5th, 2020, and we're here in Florida originally for a couple of weeks, but we see that New York is a very dangerous place, and that the virus is very prevalent, and especially in the 5 towns. And I want to make note of my findings. You know, it's so easy to criticize other people and not ourselves, because we're expert in criticizing someone else's errors, but when it comes to ourselves, like, it's hard, we can't find anything really important, which is not true. But here, I davened at the Rambam Yeshiva usually years past, where they had Shabbos minyan until the vacation, and the rabbi went up to the mountains or someplace. I don't know exactly where, but the yeshiva was closed. So the point was that I went to another place, and the point is that why should a yeshiva like the Rambam or any other day schools and yeshivas and places of learning have interscholastic basketball competition between different teams, where where money is spent on fancy uniforms, and practice sessions are held so frequently, every couple of days, and then they have to travel to games away from home. Now, who has time to do any learning once you're out and practicing with the ball running around over the place, all over the tri-state area? Is that right? I mean, they should be putting that time to more important things that are in the yeshiva, and there should be no time wasted. So what did I do? I went to this other place, Beth Shalom, and you know, they have a lot of good points about them, that's for sure, but they had a 9 o'clock minyan that was unbelievable. I could not believe the amount of socializing and talking that went on this 9 o'clock minyan. I mean, there are many people that were serious, but people flaunted the Torah reading, and they were socializing that you couldn't believe in. And when there was a kiddush, everybody ran as soon as you could snap your fingers. Now, is that right? Now, you become, that was the first year. In the second year, I said, you know, I didn't look at it so bad. So I said, you know, I became inured to it. I became used to that behavior. But it's not right. And what is needed is a Beis HaMedrash, a study hall, where it should be open every day in the synagogue. In the synagogue, it should be open. And there should be a mashgiach, a rabbi. They have a lot of rabbis there. They have rabbis in training and all kind of rabbis going for their doctorate. Let it be open. Let it be publicized to the entire community. Come in. We'll see what you're holding. Everything's in English. You don't need a rabbi today. You know, if you have questions, ask your mashgiach. But you can figure it out yourself. Go to a class if they have them around. But your classes are on times that may not be suitable for you. But if you have a book based on ideology, you want to read Chumash and Rashi for the week, you want to go into the Gemara, look, you can force yourself until you get a appreciation and a love for the study of the Torah. And that includes, I mean, every day we say, Ruach HaTorah Shana Keina Melech Haolam Asher Kiddushanu B'Mitzvah Tzivonu, commanded us to engross ourselves in the study of Torah. Engross ourselves in the study of Torah before you put on your talents and tefillin. Engross yourself with the study of the Torah, and they should be sweet in your mouth. The words of the Torah should be sweet in your mouth and to your children and to the entire Jewish people. We say that every day. And even in the Shemona Esrei, the last paragraph, we say that the Torah should be open to us and we should be happy to learn it and perform the commandments. That in that paragraph. So that much for Beth Shalom. So I said, let me go to another place. And I mean, who could I speak to? I'm a small guy, and that's what everybody thinks they're a small guy. They can't go up and say, you have no money. So you say, yeah, I want you to change. Well, who are you to tell me to change? So I went to the Aguda. Oh, everybody's religious over there. Oh, they was into learning. So what happened? After the davening, there was a kiddush, and there was a kiddush, great food, 1, 2, 3, the whole kiddush empty, and all the people all the men set up their chairs and they're listening to the rabbi. They're listening to the rabbi. Give daf yomi. That's 80%. But what about the other 20% that don't have that appreciation of Torah and learning? They just walked home. No one cared about them. And every Jew is important. That's why they should have a Beis HaMedrash that should be open for everybody and to see what level you're at. I mean, look, I'm from Delaware. Now, I'm not trying to be humble or anything, but I'm not the smartest guy in the world. But I saw a picture where these two gentlemen were learning Torah, and they enjoyed it. And I said to myself, wow, and I like to see what they're learning. And I finally got to New York in 1959, and Chabad in 770 said I was too old, couldn't take me. So therefore they sent me to this place called Hechel Torah, Rabbi Millers. There were two brothers, and it was always open. And although I didn't learn that much in content of learning, because there were so many deeds that we had to go and do in the community. And we used to march on Shabbos to different synagogues and try to raise money for the yeshiva. One day, we were 140th in Riverside Drive. We marched to 67th in Lexington. Like I didn't know anything about New York. I'm from Delaware, a square from Delaware. So I had cushioned seats, everything was fancy. And I don't know if they got any money or anything, but we marched there, then we marched back, it was Shabbos. It was a big walk. So it's very interesting. 50 years later, I attended at a synagogue, Kilis Yaakov Rabbi Lookstein Synagogue on 67th and Lexington. Is it 67th or 76? I don't know exactly where. But the rabbi spoke, and he said, it was an occasion of a bar mitzvah, and he said, you know, we have this fellow that lane for us in the 13, he got bar mitzvah, and he laned in front of the entire synagogue. And you have to be good to be able to lane the Torah in front of the whole synagogue. And when the rabbi came down and shaking people's hands, being a mishpacha, part of the mishpacha, I said, Rabbi, I was here 50 years ago when the Rabbi Londons came here, and that's my grandson who was bar mitzvah. So he said, oh my God, oh my God. Okay, that's so much for the Aguda, right? So, I mean, yeah, that's it. You got to learn. We have a book over here that it's in English. He said, from when to when do we learn the Shema Yisrael in the evening, right? And the Gemara goes on and says, we always learn evening first. We always learn evening first, because the black sheep comes before the white sheep, the Bereshit God created, the heavens and the earth, right? It was evening first, and then it was morning, day of one. Everything is evening is one. But Rabbi, look, the Gemara says in the second Mishnah, it says, in the morning you should say two blessings before the Shema Yisrael and one blessing after the Shema Yisrael, and in the evening you say two blessings before the Shema Yisrael and two blessings after the Shema Yisrael. So, I mean, that Mishnah starts off with morning. It starts off with morning. So how are you going to tell me we're going to start everything with evening? Because the answer is that the Tana Rabbi of the Gemara brings down that we're going to hook the first and the second Mishnahs together, and therefore, from the time we're reading the evening Shema, and then we go on to the second, Mishnah, which we connect time of reading the morning Shema and making it all one Mishnah. And then we explain the morning Shema, two before and one after, and then we explain the evening Shema, two before and two after. Right? You got a beautiful teretz. You got a beautiful answer. But you have to work on it now. You don't need a rabbi. I mean, yeah, you can ask different questions that really come up, but of course the basic Torah that you can learn, you have to set it up yourself. You say, well, who am I? You can do it. Look, I said over there in Exodus chapter 32 to 35, after the golden calf, said over there, it said over there what? That the 3,000 people were executed, tried and executed for worshiping the golden calf, not showing reverence. And then the last sentence in that chapter says, they will send a plague. Why send a plague? People were already killed. They were guilty. These are the people like me and you that stood by and didn't say anything. Oh, but we have to say, what can I do? Look, I'm speaking here a little bit, once in a while, whatever. I try to do the best I can. But you can set up you have the power to get together, and you're responsible. You have to see things are going wrong. People are not learning, and therefore it's incumbent upon all of us to. Where's the learning going on? I don't see any learning going on over here. And if you go home, no. Or you say, well, look at the young Israel of Woodmere, young Israel of Woodmere, right? Oh, they have, they give the rabbi every minute they have. Mishnah said, well, who's up to a Mishnah? Maybe we're not up to a Mishnah. Who can hear everything? It goes so fast. They need a base of measures. Oh, they have a sign that says no talking. Yeah, they're like above the kindergarten level. You have a sign, we appreciate no talking, we're taking a vow, not to talk. That's not what we're interested in. We want people to learn. And where are they learning today? I don't know. Now, you want to be quiet? Look, there's a lot. I know a lot of people watch this in the 5 towns. They say, oh, listen, he could talk a little bit, he could criticize, but we got the virus. Well, what's the virus for? We got to build. We have to build. But what about the people that they left behind? What do I mean? I mean, the Jews came over from Williamsburg, and then they went to East New York to Williamsburg, and then to East New York, and then to Pitkin Avenue, and Brownsville, and New Lots, and Glendale, and then went up to Auburn, and Starrett City. Where are the people that left behind? Yeah, well, who cares about them? Went to Auburn. Yeah, my brother-in-law was in Auburn. They had a nice little shul. They took a house and they made a shul out of it. Nothing's going to happen over here. We have single-family homes on the bay. We had single-families home on the ocean block. We have a condominium. We have a shul. Boom. Went down the drain. They ran to Rockaway, and then to the 5 towns, and to the 5 towns they said, oh, the young Israel of Woodmere, we bought the whole block. We're going to build a gymnasium, and this and a social center, and this center, and that center, and that center. It can't happen here. Wait, this is the 5 towns. Well, all the way over the border, you have Nassau County. It dumps the low-income housing there, and Queens County dumps it on the border of Nassau County. So you have a whole big pocket of low-income families, usually meaning a lot of crime. But it can't happen here. We can build. I said, before you build, go back to all those other places you left behind, and all the sick and infirm people that never got out, and are still there, and are being flaunted and frightened by the youth that run around wild in those areas. That's where you should be spending your money. Now, the EU says, the European Union says, oh, you can't build and you can't declare sovereignty in the Samarian Judea. You can't do that. That's not against the rules. And the Jews got to take the defense. Okay? Yeah, the EU, they're funding all these leftist organizations to create havoc. And what are we doing? What is this country of Israel doing? They have a Supreme Court that is elected by one retires by the same Supreme Court. And what do they base their decisions on? There's no constitution on their morals, On their morals, they base their constitution. They base their decisions. They don't even keep Shabbos. They don't even know Aleph from a Beis as far as learning goes. And the EU sends money to build in the Arab areas. It's not enough. They took our lives, and now 6 million brothers and sisters are turning over in their graves, and they see when there's no retribution given out to them. What they should be doing is going to those individual EU members and present proof that their lands and buildings belong to the Jewish people. Where are those people? Who occupies those lands and those buildings that the Jews own? Go to their Supreme Court. The best defense is an offense. Those are lands that are owned by Jewish people. And what are you doing to your brothers and sisters over there? Well, here are some drawings that were made by prisoners after their release, showing the horrific torture and beatings that they had to go through, and inspections and furnaces and torture, skeletons, death. 6 million. And Germany has the nerve to send through the EU. Here, the woman going on to the crematorium. Yes. Who's working on their name? Building more buildings? What about the people in the Starrett City area, or in the pink houses that are left behind, or in Arvern with those Jews? Who cares about them? Here we have President Trump. I salute him, the best president that the world has ever known. And you look at the media, CNN, ABC, NBC, nothing but degradation do they speak about, character assassination. He should bring them up on charges of sedition, making the people revolt against the elected president of the United States. Nothing good do they say about him. Only bad things, when he accomplished so many things prior to the virus. So that's so much for that. And what else do we want to say? That we have to not sit by and spend our time educating our youth. Kudos to the South Shore Yeshiva, where they spend so much time working on their Talmidim, the Cheder Yeshiva, Darkei Torah, and all these people they consist of learning and not having to say, oh, what should I do? My son is going away from Torah and Judaism. I have to send him to Madrigas so that he can play ping pong and socialize with the opposite sex, or otherwise I might lose him entirely. There should be special teachers set up for the yeshivas to take one-on-one those children that are going astray at an early age. We can tell. That's where the resources should be. Not in building more and more buildings. They elected the World Zionist Organization. I don't know too much about it. All I know is it's a poll tax, and there's like $1 billion that can be distributed by the elected delegates. And the vote reform got 31,000 votes. The Young Israel movement got 21,000, and the land of Eretz HaKodesh got 20,000, a new player on the block, and so they can divide that monies up to their institutions. But I just hope, I think the convention's in October, I just hope that funds are not used to have party and what do you call it? Junctures or to land and be entertained by all these institutions and given flowery festive meals, and therefore hoping to cast more money to that institution as opposed to the other institution. And one thing I like about the Jewish home is that, again, you got 31,000 for the reform, you got 21,000 for the Young Israel type movement, and you got 20,000 for the Aguda type movements. So one thing I like about the Jewish home is that they work hard for the settlers of liberated territories in Samaria and Judea. But if you look at the numbers, you know, Jewish home, or as Yamin, as part of Yamin, this is getting into politics, Yamin, right, which is Ayelet Shachar, very intelligent woman, very down to earth, and gets things done. And she, this is on May 5th, and she proposed an override to the Supreme Court. But they could knocked it down because some of the kid members would vote against it, even though she had the majority. And now they're doing more talk about we should override, even though Ayelet Shachar had a bill on the table ready for second and third readings. Yeah, that's politics. Now you look at makeup of Yamin. You have they won 6 seats, 6, and 3 of them went to Yamin, which is Bennett, Shachar, and another person. 2 of them went to National Union, which is Smotrich and somebody else in that union. And 1 was for Jewish Home. 1 seat they got for Jewish Home. And who got the ministry? Peretz. Rabbi Rafi Peretz, whom they all hated because he did things on his own and he took Azmat Yehud and he did everything. After the elections were getting rid of you. Netanyahu gave him the post of educational minister. Now they're all running to him. Oh, you're such a great guy, you did have foresight, blah, 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 blah. That's politics. Politics and money. So with all the Jewish Home, with all the unions, the National Union and Yamin, they got 6 seats, while Aguda has 7 seats, and the Aguda Sephardic type Shas has 9 seats. So you see where the religious people are moving, and they should have. Look, there's somebody over there with big bucks. I like to have it set up in Israel, a storefront yeshiva where people could come in and it will give them books that they could read and see if they get some information, because now there's a gulf and no one's reaching out to them. Just by sheer numbers are we able to demographics, birth rates are we able to win over. Okay, I think our time is coming to an end, and basically we have to remember that what? If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what am I? And I think that's where a lot of us are at. If I am only for myself. If not now, when? Let's hear somebody with some big bucks. Let's open up some a yeshiva storefront where we can get the non-observant in. With that, I'm going to conclude. I wish you all the very best.